On the other side of the door I opened, pink and blue balloons floated in the air, and laughter filled the venue of the party. On the wall, there was a big sign that read, "Welcome, Baby Harrison." The table was piled high with gifts for the baby, and my mother, Karen, was beaming as she guided guests around. This was supposed to be the housewarming party I had planned with my $4,000 savings. Instead, it had been repurposed into a baby shower for Chloe, my half-sister. "Madison, you finally made it." My mother saw me and waved. Standing right behind her was my stepfather, Douglas, his face filled with pride. And there was Chloe, lounging on the lavish couch, becoming the center of attention. She wore a green maternity dress, gently caressing her baby bump. I responded with a smile and stepped inside. On the outside, I appeared calm, but inside I was boiling. "Congratulations, Chloe." I approached and handed her the small gift I had prepared. She was 25 but had never achieved anything on her own. Yet, she still enjoyed her parents' unconditional love and lived a life always treated as someone special. "Thank you, Madison." She looked at me with a hint of caution. She avoided eye contact because she knew exactly who this party was originally for. "Everyone, may I have your attention? Please." Suddenly, my mother stood in the middle of the room and tapped her glass. "Today is a special day. Chloe and Ethan are expecting a new life, bringing more joy to our family. Let's raise a toast." The sound of clinking glasses echoed. Cheers rang throughout the room. And in that moment, something crystallized within me. I would never allow anyone to deny my worth again. I raised my glass, catching everyone's gaze, and I will never allow anyone to deny my worth again. I raised my glass, catching everyone's gaze, and prepared to reveal the truth I had buried for 18 years. I am Madison Smith, 32 years old. I am the Vice President of Global Insight, the creator of the Market Pulse system, which has generated hundreds of millions of dollars in profit for the company. After I informed my grandparents about my recent promotion, their congratulatory messages came in quickly. As I was replying to them, my assistant, Natalie, walked into the room. "Madison, I just received a document from the legal department." "Thank you." "Oh, Natalie, how's the preparation for the housewarming party at the new mansion going?" "Everything is on schedule. The real estate agent just delivered the keys." "The lakeside landscape is truly beautiful." I nodded, looking out at the Boston skyline through the window. The new lakeside villa in Massachusetts was not just a property. It was the dream I had pursued for many years. The morning fog danced on the water's surface, the trees rustled in the wind, and above all, there was a silence untouched by anyone else's demands. It was my sanctuary. The small gathering I had planned for this weekend was meant to mark the beginning of a new chapter in my life. However, there was one thing, Natalie added hesitantly. She was holding the tablet over my desk and scrolling. "There's an email from your mom. It's about the party preparations." As soon as those words left her lips, my face stiffened like stone and a chill ran down my spine. My relationship with my mother, Karen, could only be described as complicated. When I was 12, my father, Robert, passed away from cancer. After that, she started to change. Without even taking the time to grieve, she married a man named Douglas Harrison. And gradually, I began to fade out of her new life. Things got worse when Chloe, my half-sister, was born from that marriage. My mother's affection, my place in the family, and even my chances for an education were all stripped away. Under the guise of Brittany's needs, "I'll check back later," I told Natalie. But inside, a deep sense of unease began to rise, because throughout my life, I had rarely received good news from my mother. The shadows of the skyscrapers outside stretched across the floor. Glancing at the clock on the wall of my office, I knew I had just 15 minutes until the next meeting. I took a deep breath, calmed my thoughts, and turned my attention back to the new project proposal laid out before me. The plan to launch into the Asian market marked the next big step in my career. Even now, as the Vice President of Global Information and a recognized figure in the industry, I had never let my guard down. Because since I was young, I had learned the harsh truth: if you let your guard down, everything you hold dear can be taken away. After a grueling 3-hour board meeting, I returned to the office with heavy steps from exhaustion. Natalie was waiting with a worried expression. "Madison, about your mom's email. I think you might need to respond." I sighed, sat down at my computer, and opened the email with tense fingers. The subject line was very clear. Madison, there's important news about the party. And attached was a single photo. As soon as I opened the photo, I felt like the blood in my veins had stopped flowing. The living room of the lakeside house was decorated with pink and blue ribbons, and on the wall was a sign, "Welcome, Baby Harrison." My housewarming party had been turned into a baby shower for Chloe that I was completely unaware of. Instinctively, I grabbed my phone and called my mom. "Hello, Madison. Perfect timing. I was just about to talk to you about the party." "What was that photo? Why is the house decorated for a baby welcome party?" I interrupted her, my voice sharp and demanding. "Madison, listen. This is really important for Brittany." Her tone had a familiar pleading sound, but underneath it was the manipulation I had recognized since childhood. That tone said, "I'll pretend to listen to you, but the decision has already been made." This whole mess began about a month ago. I had been fully immersed in the global rollout of Market Pulse, a major project at Global Insight, and had no time to handle the detailed plans for the housewarming of the new lakeside villa I had purchased in Massachusetts. So, I sent $4,000 to my mother, a rather generous amount, and asked her to take care of everything, from the invitations, catering, decorations, and the schedule for the day. I was completely absorbed in rolling out Market Pulse globally, a major project at Global Insight, and didn't have time to handle the detailed planning for the housewarming party at the new lakeside mansion I had bought in Massachusetts. So, I sent my mom $4,000, a pretty generous amount, and asked her to take care of everything from the invitations, catering, decorations, to the schedule for the day. It wasn't just a party. It was a celebration of years of hard work and achievements, a symbol of a new chapter in my life. Why are you turning my housewarming party into Chloe's baby shower? Those are two completely different events. I was trying hard to keep my emotions in check. But she's pregnant? Madison? This is a really important event for the family. She said it like she was explaining something obvious that I clearly didn't understand. Douglas and I are about to become grandparents for the first time. Isn't that something the whole family should celebrate? And just like that, the same old pattern that had governed our lives for 18 years kicked in again. Whenever Chloe was involved, everything and everyone else became secondary. That pattern never changed since my mom married Douglas when I was 14. I understood that, but the celebration for me should be a separate event. I've already invited friends and coworkers. They're very welcome. We can celebrate Chloe's event together. I sighed. By this point in the conversation, I already knew nothing I said would matter. My opinion was never part of the equation. Wait, have you sent out the invitations yet? Yes, they went out yesterday. We're calling it a special family celebration with the Smiths. I want these details to be a surprise. Anger surged within me, but I tried to hold it back. So when I spoke, I sent $4,000 for my party. Oh, Madison, come on, you've made it. You just became vice president. You bought a beautiful new mansion. Chloe has nothing. She needs this celebration. That logic is always the same. Because I've been successful, I have to give up what's mine for her. Everything started to shift. She continued without a hint of guilt. Douglas was thrilled. He was really looking forward to being a grandfather. Hearing her words, I took a deep breath. Is Chloe's boyfriend coming to the party? I asked calmly. I needed to know if he was involved in this. Of course. Ethan is a wonderful man, kind and smart. He truly loves Chloe. He's a programmer at an IT company and has a promising future. Douglas really likes him. They make a perfect couple. I see, I said softly. Isn't that great? Thank you. Madison. Oh, the grandparents will be coming too. We will celebrate Chloe and Ethan in style. That made me pause. Wait, the grandparents are on their way. Yes, I just spoke to them on the phone. They seem really excited. At least that's a small relief. I see. All right. Then I'll see you at the party. I tried to keep my voice sounding normal. By that time, I knew there was no reason to argue with her anymore. It was important to conserve my strength and choose the right moment to act. After hanging up, I looked at the picture of the lakeside house on my desk. I took a deep breath and started to gather my thoughts. In business, I learned one crucial thing: always focus on the end goal. This also needed to be handled strategically, and I had already made my decision. I picked up my phone and texted the grandparents. See you at the lakeside house on Saturday. There's something important I need to tell you. The moment I hit send, something inside me settled. That weekend marked a turning point in my life. Please, this is my room. It holds memories of my father. On my way home from the office in Boston, I found myself thinking about when I was 16. It's been 4 years since my dad passed away and 2 years since my mom remarried. Madison, Chloe needs a bigger room. Her tone lacked any warmth at all. She changed after my dad died and after marrying Douglas. She became a completely different person. Now, the only person she seems to focus on is her daughter and him, Chloe. My bedroom is my only refuge. Sunlight pours in through the south-facing window. The walls are filled with pictures of my dad, and the bookshelf he gave me last birthday is packed with his books. Please don't take this room away from me. My plea went unheard. On the contrary, Douglas said coldly. I'm the head of this household. My decision is final. Douglas takes pride in his appearance, always projecting the image of a perfect family. To him, I'm just a flaw in that image. The next day, when I got home from school, all my belongings had been moved into a small guest room. My bedroom had become Chloe's bedroom. Where's my bookshelf? Dad's books, I asked, my voice trembling. We put them in storage. You're not a child anymore. My mom replied, Chloe deserves the best environment. I found the dismantled bookshelf and my books boxed up in the storage room. I opened a box and pulled out a physics book, my dad's favorite, the one he read before he passed. Inside the front cover, he had written to Madison, knowledge is the greatest treasure. With love, Dad. That was the moment I vowed that one day I would be independent. Everything just got worse from there. Eventually, I was even cut out of the family picture. When I asked, am I not part of this family? My mom simply said, you're not in front of the camera? But I knew it was intentional. That night, I held a picture of my dad tightly and whispered, one day, I will find my own way. I promise. On baby shower day, I drove to the house by the lake. I parked and took a deep breath. Several cars were already lined up in the yard. The guests had arrived from the window. I could see pink and blue balloons. The front door had a sign, Welcome, Baby Harrison. I grabbed my handbag and looked at my reflection in the mirror. A navy blue tailored dress, perfect makeup, and a glowing, confident face. No one could guess the storm brewing inside me. Today will be the end, I told myself. Then I stepped out of the car and walked toward the entrance. I took a deep breath and reached for the doorknob. Madison, you have a gift of insight. It doesn't come from blood. It comes from the heart. Those were my grandfather Walter's words. Even now, they still echo in my mind. It was the spring before high school graduation. I had just received my acceptance letter from Princeton and returned home in pure joy. But that night, I happened to overhear a conversation between my mom and Douglas in the office after dinner. She's not my blood. Why should I pay for her? Douglas's voice dripped with disdain. But she's still my daughter. My mom replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Chloe is the only one that matters. That money should be saved for her. Princeton is a luxury. The next day, my mom said they couldn't pay my tuition. Chloe is in private school, and we need to think about her future education too. You can go to community college in town. That weekend, my grandparents visited. Even after my dad died, they never let go of me. Douglas isn't going to pay for your tuition, my grandfather asked calmly. My grandmother said firmly, we'll take care of it. Money only has value when used for the right purpose. Your father would agree. My years at Princeton opened up a new world for me. Everything I have today is thanks to them. And with those thoughts, I stepped into the mansion I had built. About 40 guests were present. My mom wore a white dress, Douglas in a gray suit. Chloe, radiant in a green maternity dress, sat next to Ethan. I saw my grandparents standing quietly in the corner of the room and walked toward them through the crowd. If anyone could be called family, it was them. The courage to speak my truth came from the unconditional love they always showed me. Clutching it tightly, I took the microphone. May I have your attention, please? My voice echoed through the room, and all conversations fell silent. My mom's smile froze, and Douglas frowned. Thank you all for coming today. Chloe. Congratulations. Chloe smiled lightly. but a hint of worry appeared in her eyes. This party was originally planned as a housewarming for my new mansion. I had transferred $4,000 to my mom for that purpose. But my celebration has been changed. It has turned into a baby shower for Chloe. Whispers spread throughout the crowd. My mother stood still, her face pale. Douglas started to approach me. "Madison, this is not the time for this," he whispered. "No, Douglas, this is exactly the right time. And everyone needs to hear this." The moment I said it, he slapped my face. A stunned silence enveloped the room. Some men rushed in to restrain him. I tried to push through the pain, then said, "You're only making things worse. I will tell them everything. For 18 years, I've been second in this family. Nothing more than that. I've been like an invisible shadow." I turned to my grandparents who were standing quietly in the corner of the room and continued, "After my biological father passed away, I was treated like I didn't belong to this family. My room was taken away. I was denied an education, and now even the celebration of my new home has been stolen." Ethan looked at Chloe, confusion and shock evident on his face. He probably never really understood the dynamics of this family. But today, I am here to make one thing clear. I'm no longer a victim. I have stood up for myself. I have succeeded. I raised my glass and smiled at my grandparents. Congratulations to Walter and Dorothy Smith, my true family. They helped me attend Princeton. Today, I stand here as the Vice President of Global Insight, the creator of the Market Pulse system, and as a woman who has built her own life. Douglas's face darkened. He stepped forward, his voice low and threatening. "Keep going, and you'll be completely cut off from this family. No inheritance, nothing at all." His threats no longer scared me. "I don't want anything from you, Douglas." Just then, my grandfather stepped forward, his voice calm yet authoritative. "Actually, I have something to share with everyone." The room went silent again. There was an undeniable presence in his voice, the quiet authority of a former professor. 3 months ago, Dorothy and I updated our will. Our house in Cambridge, our entire investment portfolio, and all of our assets will be inherited by Madison. I could see my mother's face turn white. "Dad, what are you talking about?" My grandmother interjected. "Karen, this is the result of your choice. You chose your new family and abandoned your daughter. We simply respect that choice with our own choice." "But Chloe," my mom muttered. "She already has a grandchild," my grandfather replied firmly. The one who had ignored Madison heard it and once again stole her joy today. A heavy silence enveloped the room. Suddenly, Chloe stood up abruptly, her voice filled with anger. "You ruin everything. Today was supposed to be my special day." "Chloe," Ethan said gently, grabbing her arm, "you used Madison's money to throw this party." "What the hell?" "You just need to be quiet," Chloe shouted and yanked her arm away. Then, Douglas suddenly spoke up and stepped forward. "Enough. Madison, get out. You should never have been invited." The room went cold. The conversation ended abruptly. I slowly set my glass down, looking straight into his eyes. The pain that had been suppressed for over 10 years silently ignited within me. "Get out," I smiled bitterly. "Douglas, you can't get further from the truth. I own this lakeside house. Madison, that's enough." My mom tried to interject, but I raised my hand. "No, is this enough yet?" I slowly walked towards Douglas. For years, he had pushed me out of this family, but today was different. This house is mine. I earned it. I paid for it. I stood right in front of him as his face turned bright red. "And if anyone needs to leave, it's you." He trembled with anger but couldn't say a word. Finally, he realized that my success had completely shattered his power. My grandfather placed his hand on my shoulder to encourage me. My grandmother came over to him, smiling gently. I would go home to my real family. Before leaving the room, I looked back one last time. What I saw was a family falling apart, a facade crumbling. Douglas's face was flushed with rage. My mom slumped down, defeated. Chloe stood crying, her expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. Outside the villa, my grandmother approached me with concern. "Madison, are you okay?" I replied, "I'm fine, thank you." I smiled. "Let's go home," my grandfather said gently, placing his hand on my shoulder. 3 years have passed since that day. I am now the CEO of Global Insight, succeeding the previous CEO, Lawrence, and becoming the youngest CEO in the company's history. Before retiring, Lawrence personally designated me as his successor. Madison, no one feels the market pulse like you do. He told me that the company should pursue his vision for the future. I still remember how much his words moved me. Market Pulse. The data analytics platform I created has expanded globally and grown into a billion-dollar business. Our system is now being used by government agencies, Fortune 500 companies, and global investment firms. When I appeared on the cover of Fortune magazine and made the 30 under 30 list, my grandfather cried with joy. "Madison, your dad would be so proud of you, no matter where he is," he said. That was the highest compliment I ever received. From my new penthouse apartment, I could see the Boston skyline stretching endlessly below. At the center of my private study is a bookshelf and a collection of books that once belonged to my father, saved by my grandparents from storage. When I opened the physics book he read before he passed, still marked with his handwriting, I feel as if we're having a quiet conversation across time. On weekends, I often retreat to the lakeside house, now renovated to my taste, where I invite my grandparents over to enjoy the tranquility. On the spacious deck, I play chess with my grandfather and listen to him share about life. To me, that is the greatest luxury. My grandmother still tends to her herb garden, and nothing is more comforting than sipping her homemade herbal tea while gazing at the still waters. She often says, "Madison, we are defined by our choices. You have walked a difficult path, but you never gave in to bitterness or revenge. That is your true strength." Meanwhile, my stepfather struggled to keep up with the rapid changes in the tech industry and eventually got demoted. Or at least, that's what I heard. The company he had worked for over 20 years was handed over to a younger leadership team. His outdated management style and obsolete technical skills were publicly criticized in the name of corporate restructuring. Ironically, his company adopted the new data analytics system. That was Market Pulse, my system. In the end, he was given a choice: accept a 50% pay cut or retire early. Still proud as ever, he decided to resign only to find that the retirement package he anticipated had been cut. He had to face significant financial losses. Colleagues. Now he found himself abandoned, with no network in the industry and once looking down on peers. Now he saw himself forsaken, with no connections left and no path forward. My mother's real estate business was affected during the recession, and they were forced to sell their luxury home and move to a much more modest place. The bedroom that used to be mine was taken away because Chloe's probably now completely claimed by someone else. Life has its way of balancing itself out. Chloe gave birth safely, but her relationship with Ethan fell apart. According to distant relatives, she's currently living at home with her parents. After becoming CEO, I established an educational fund called the Robert Smith Memorial Scholarship, named after my father. This fund provides educational opportunities for kids like me, kids who were robbed of a sense of belonging. I cut ties with my mom, Douglas, and Chloe, and in doing so, I finally found peace. My grandparents are my loyal team, mentors who showed up at just the right times in my life. They're my real family. To this day, Lawrence remains my trusted mentor. His wisdom continues to guide me through every tough decision. Every morning when I walk into my office, I always pause to look at 2 framed photos on the wall. One is an old family photo with me, my dad, and my grandparents. The other was taken on the day Market Pulse got its patent. My whole team was over the moon. The pain of the past, the brightness of the present, they've all shaped who I am today. Blood doesn't define you. My grandfather once told me that people have value from the moment they're born, and now I truly believe that. I've let go of all the wrong relationships and stepped into a life built around people who truly see and respect me. They say success is the best revenge, but for me, success has never meant revenge. It's about self-awareness. Now I live not to prove my worth, but to follow my passion and satisfy my curiosity. I smile at the photos and head toward the conference room. Because today, once again, I choose to live my own story.